So excited to bring Stoss back in because we have such a great working relationship. We've shot over 30 projects together, and I don't think there's a better person to talk about the breakdown of frame sizes as well as coverage and angles. Thanks for being here.
You're very welcome. I'm sure there are far better people to talk about camera angles, but I'll do what I can.
Awesome. Okay, so when we were describing this class to you with Haley, I knew I wanted to bring you in from the beginning because you have, I don't know if we want to call it a method, but I'm going to call it a method. You have a method on breaking down how to explain coverage and angles that I thought was really helpful to anyone that's new to this topic. Can you tell us what that was?
There are an infinite number of possibilities of where a camera can go. It's really not much of a system, but I categorize different types of shots in my head because I think that makes it a little bit easier for me to communicate my intention with the people that I'm working with. Mm-hmm. And to me, it seems like there are really two categories of shots and maybe one subcategory. But the first category that I think most people are familiar with is simply the size of the shot. I'm sure you've all heard terms like wide shot, medium shot, close-up, medium close-up, extreme close-up, and that's basically all it is. And generally, each of those has a specific meaning of how large a person is in the frame, right? You know, in a wide shot, you would see head to feet. In a cowboy shot, you would see above the knee. In an extreme close-up, you see only a part of the face rather than the full face, that sort of thing. The second category in my mind is a spatial relationship between the camera and the actor. Right?
And I love this one because this is something when you talked about it, I was like, this is going to make it very easy. So yeah, tell me about that.
It's where the camera is relative to the actor, right? And the camera can be very low, which would make it a low angle shot. The camera can be much higher than the actor looking down, which would be a high angle shot. The camera could be directly above the action, which would make it a bird's eye view. It could be profile to the character. It could be frontal to the camera. So that's essentially all there is to it. And the different types of shots from the first category obviously can mix with all of the types of shots from the second category. You could have a low angle wide shot, or you can have a high angle extreme close-up. And the third category, or in my mind it's more of a subcategory, is relationships between characters in the frame. So if you have more than one character in the frame, it's how those two characters relate to the camera, right? The most obvious example is an over-the-shoulder. And you can have a full over-the-shoulder where you can see a large part of the body of the character whose back is facing the camera, or you can see only a small part of the shoulder, or you can just see a tiny reference which would make it a dirty, right? Or if you're only seeing one character, oftentimes we'll call it a clean shot. So you could have a clean close-up, or you could have a clean wide, or you can have an over-the-shoulder wide, right? So those three categories, they mix, giving us an enormous number of possibilities.
And we're going to be demoing a lot of this stuff because we really love practical exercises here. But in case we don't get to it, because there's so much variety and range, can you talk about some of the other stuff that falls into that third category of relationships between characters on screen?
Mm-hmm. Well, in the simplest case, when you have multiple characters in the shot, you can characterize those shots by how many characters are in the frame, which can be a single or two shot or three shot, whatever, 6 shots if you're covering a dinner scene in a wide.
Okay, great. So we're going to break down today with, we have 2 actors here. We have Haley, obviously, and we also have Natalie. And so we're going to be bringing them in and talk about those 3 categories, breaking down the first one, which is more frame size and the size of the character within the shot. Then we're going to be going into the actual angle part of it, and then moving into the relationship between characters. So let's have some fun and see how much we can cover.
Great, looking forward to it. Let's do it.